arrest that led you to doing state time? Because that was like right after that what we were just talking about. So what happened? I'm sorry. Well, they didn't come to court for the car, but then you got locked up again.
I got locked up again.
After the Dunkin' Donuts incident. What happened?
We was robbing everybody again. We probably robbed about 30 people that night, and they was calling us in the paper the Grace Ferry to Mount Airy robbers. We robbing from Grace Ferry to Mount Airy. Just riding around, robbing stores, robbing people. No regards for humanity, no regards for people's property, nothing.
So police is looking for y'all now, basically.
They looking for us all that night, but we didn't know. I was 17 at the time, and my co-defendants, 2 of them was 16, and one was like 31.
They still alive, the Coldies?
Well, 3 of my Coldies is dead, and me and my cousin is the only ones that's still alive.
I'll go back to them and ask about them. So y'all committing these robberies, and the police is looking for y'all, but you didn't know that they was looking for y'all?
We never knew.
So how did they catch up to y'all, and what happened?
We ended up driving around in Cecil B. Moore. We was actually going somewhere else. In fact, we was going down J Street to get our drugs of choice at that time. We thought everything was over. We robbed everybody. We got a trunk full of money. We got a pocket full of cash. We got jewelry everywhere. We oblivious to the fact that we being pursued. And that's why I say, when you are young and unintelligent at that time, you are not even really understanding the full ramifications of your actions. Like, we were just driving around like wasn't nothing going on. Like, we just didn't rob about 30 people. You understand? So we was that detached from reality.
Wow. So what happened? How did the cops catch up to y'all? What happened?
We on Cecil B. Moore on our way to J Street, going to go pick up Serpent Pills. And they pulled over. They pulled us over about 20 deep. Blitzed the car. We driving around.
I ain't trying to run nothing there. Right?
And they had about 30 guns pointed at us. I'm pointing the gun at the cops.
You pointing the gun at the cops? They ain't shoot?
No. I done that. That's later on that line, but that's why I think I'm really here for a true purpose, because I done that several times and I ain't get killed.
So what goes into the mindset that make you want to aim a gun at the cops? And normally that's over. You do that.
Yeah, exactly. I ain't care about my life. I ain't even really value my life. So I didn't really care. But then, you got to look at it in retrospect and say, damn, even though I didn't care about my life, what about my cousin? What about my other friends? What about the decision that I'm making they not willing to live with? But you don't think like that. You don't process that at the time. The only thing you're thinking about is being put out your misery. So sometimes some of us could be subconsciously suicidal. And I tell people that all the time.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Subconsciously suicidal.
Wow.
I tell people that all the time. Even the way that you live your life, the drugs that you use, and the way that you eat, the way that you treat yourself is suicidal lifestyle. Living in this game that we call a game is really a trap. We are suicidal. It's a suicidal lifestyle.
Yeah, I agree.
Wholeheartedly, I agree.
So the cops catch y'all right there. Money, guns, jewelry, all that right there on the spot. You said over 20 victims that said that y'all robbed them.
Yeah.
So from there, y'all go to trial and fight these cases?
Yes. Before we go to trial, they offered us 50 years. Then they offered us 40. Then they offered us 30. One of my co-defendants, which is still living and breathing today, he's still on parole from that crime. He took an 8 to 40.
Wow.
He was 16 or 17. Was 16 we got booked. By the time we went to trial, or whatever the case may be, he was 17. So you don't even really understand the rule, the full ramifications of your act. So he took 8 to 40, not realizing and understanding that 40 years was 40 years.
Let me ask you a question. What jail was it? Holmesburg back then?
We went to CF at the time, because this was...
CF was around at the time.
This was February 2nd, 1996.
This one just opened. Damn near.
Yeah, exactly.
That's when it opened up. It opened up in 96. CF did.
Yes, in the summer.
And you got there, what, the end of the summer, October?
I got there in February 2nd. February 2nd.
So now y'all facing these crimes. Let's talk about the CF at the time. How was it back then, CF? Was it violent at the time?
It was extremely violent. They had paddy wagons up there like every 3 to 4 days for somebody getting stabbed or maimed or almost murdered. It was extremely volatile. And let me say this, in relation to that, remember I was 17. I lied about my age. I used my brother's birth date, and I used his first name, and I used somebody else's last name, and I scraped my fingerprints off. And I told him I was 18 because I didn't want to go back to the youth study center. So I was 17 years old in an adult jail. Just because I didn't want to go back to a juvenile facility.
Wow. So you see you scrape your fingerprints off. What you mean? You took the skin off your fingerprint?
Yeah, with a razor blade, yeah.
Off all 5 fingers?
Yes.
On both hands?
Yes. So the whole time I did, I was end up serving 12 years on that crime, and I was under a whole nother name the whole time.
And what kind of pain is that, man? You know, I got just thinking about that. To take your fingertips off.
Excruciating. Excruciating.
And what? So you just did that because you didn't want to go
I didn't want
back to a juvenile facility.
That's the thing that we used to do when we was committing crimes. If we did that, or we always had a pocket full of crazy glue.
Mm-hmm.
And we used to put crazy glue on our fingerprints. Like we was doing that since we was 10, 11, 12 years old, doing smash and grabs, running out of jewelry stores with jewelry, robbing supermarkets, robbing cash places. Like this is, we know we really had a real criminal sadistic mentality at 10, 11, 12, 13 years old.
Mm.
Like we thought like adults. You couldn't tell us nothing.
Wow. And did you ever get stabbed or have to stab anybody in the CFCF when you was in there?
No. But I did end up fighting about 5 people, 6 people at one time because I chose to rob somebody's cell.
What you mean, walk in there and take their stuff out of there?
Somebody had a lot of groceries in their cell at the time. And, you know, like I said, I didn't have no regards and no fear. And this was somebody that was from Uptown, big-time drug dealer, won't say his name. And, you know, a lot of people had a lot of love and respect and admiration for this brother. And, you know, he even took me in.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Because I was 17. They took me under their wing. But, you know, he went up to the yard to play basketball, man. And I allowed somebody to manipulate my emotions and say, yo, man, you know, he trust me. Why don't you go ahead and rob the cell? You know where everything at. And I went and they robbed that man, and he found out.
So he wasn't turkey. He said, let me.
No, he wasn't no turkey.
Yeah. Wow. So now you're the F fighting this case. 20. How many robberies was it again?
They started with about 20, but they was 30, but they got us with 20, and then it ended up getting knocked down to about 16.
And how was that trial at that time? Was it like a long trial or?
A lot of us started copping out because they had too much against us. We had 2 co-defendants that ended up telling. Both of them is dead now, but both of them started telling.
How did they die?
One died from a overdose, and one died about 2 years ago when somebody was murdering somebody else on 11th and Loud, and he was standing by the person. They murdered him at the same time.
Dang. Wow. All right, so let's get to the trial. People come. I'm assuming trial is you know something. This trial is, I believe, it's kind of daunting and probably made you feel defeated because people coming to court now. Did you have a lawyer or you had the public defender?
I had a public defender at the time. Like I said, we was poor, broke, naked, and outdoors.
Poor, broken, and naked and outdoors. Wow.
My mother didn't even come to support me at that time. Like, you know, I had no support. Nobody came. Because you got to realize, understand, but I look at it like this now, though, when I thought that it was abandonment and betrayal. But you got to look at it like this, man. People get tired of you coming to jail. How many more times do you want them to come to court? I was in and out of jail my entire life.
Yeah.
I was criminal minded. Like everybody, I'm telling you, I'm committing 30 to 40 robberies every day. Every day. So how much more do you want your mom to jeopardize her job or to jeopardize her peace of mind?
And you said now that's what you said. This is her first time having a job at this age, 18 years old.
When I went to prison, that was the first time she ever had a job.
So what deal did they offer you?
They offered the multiple deals. They went from 50, 40, 30. You know, and like I said, you know, they had so much evidence against us because the evidence was in the trunk of the car.
Exactly.
And you had all of the witnesses coming in. It was some for exceptional people that knew who we were. And we didn't even know that we robbed so many people that we ended up robbing people that we went to school with that we didn't even recognize at the time, but they was in fear because they knew what type of people we were, especially me. So some of them stopped coming to court. That's how it went from 30 all the way down to 20 and then down to 16 because they already knew that if they was to show up to court and if was to get out of jail, then it was going to be a problem.
Yeah, for sure. So what happened with that case? You ended up taking a deal or you...
I ended up taking a deal. I took a 6-12. My cousin, which was one of my closest comrades at the time, he ended up taking an 8-40. So he's still on parole since 1996 to this day.
From that same case?
From that same case.
How much time they did in jail off that case? 8 years or did more than that?
I did 7. My cousin did 9.
Wow.
And the rat dudes, he did about 2.
So your co-Ds was telling on that case?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Now, you get sentenced. Back now in CFCF, when you lose in trial, they send you to a different block and then they wait for the bus to come get you and take you upstate. Was it the same way back then?
Yeah, but when I first got incarcerated and isolated and secluded and confined for these particular crimes, my bail was so high, they took me from CFCF to the House of Corrections and they placed me in a hole because they asked me, they be like, well, how many people did you kill? I said, why did you say that? My bail at 17 years old was 1.3 million. So they held me in isolation and seclusion. And the thing about it, that I didn't really know anything about prison at the time because when they put me in isolation, I just thought that was normal. I thought jail was you locked down 23 hours a day. You know, when you're looking at it from a commercialized point of view, you don't really understand it from a experience. So when I'm locked down in a hole, I'm wondering, I'm like, all right, well, maybe this is where I'm gonna spend the rest of my life. But I didn't know that a brother came to my cell. He's like, yo, something like a brother doing Ramadan. Like, something like a brother. Like, Sam, he said, you fast? And I said, he said, you get your sword back and all? I said, yes, sir. He said, why you ain't come out? I said, what you mean? He said, why you ain't come out for your hour? I said, I ain't know I was supposed to come out. And he said, man, how old are you? And I said, I'm 17. He said, you 17? I was like, yeah. So he said, do you know why you in a hole? I said, I'm in a hole? I didn't even know I was in a hole. This is how naive I was about doing time. I didn't know I was in a hole, and I was back there for about 2 weeks. He said, what kind of infraction did you commit? A DC one? He said, you don't know what a write-up? I said, I ain't getting no write-up. He said, you didn't do nothing? You wasn't argumentative with the guards and anybody in authority? I said, no. So they went and got a deputy. The deputy went and got the warrant and said, why is this guy in a hole? And they found out about 2 days later that I was in a hole based upon my bail. My bail was 1.3 million. So they said they had to hold me in the House of Corrections until Pitt came and got me. And that's how I ended up over Pitt, and I went upstate.
How was Pitt back then?
Extremely violent. It was the most violent place besides CFCF.
And they had women over there at the time, I believe, right?
Yes, they did.
Wow. So you